The problem with $1,000 computers in 2021 is the same problem with $1,000 computers in 1994. URCD Keys is the best source for genuine Windows 10 and Office Professional product keys that work the first time, every time. Get 20% off normal prices using our discount code BST for Byte Size Tech and the link in the video description below. Now, many of our viewers were not alive in 1994, or if they were this tall and don't remember 1994. I do. I was working in a computer shop as an adult in 1994. Yes, I'm old. And we had a advertised special designed to bring people in. It was advertised in the newspaper back when people bought and read paper newspapers. I know. And today, the $1,000 machines kind of feel the same way. You can build a $1,000 machine. You can use a $1,000 machine, but the compromises are brutal. What you have to do in 2021, now last year, it wasn't so bad. Before the supply shortages hit, before the cheap stuff went away, back when 1660 Supers were $209 on Newegg, okay, you could build a nice machine for $700, $800. It was actually a decent machine. But today, those are $500 video cards, which is utterly ridiculous, but that is the market. So in 1994, we had an advertised special, which for the time was incredible. We got probably a third of our foot traffic and a third of our sales off of that. We didn't sell that machine very much. We upgraded them. That was our job because there's no money in it. It was a 486 DX266 with 8 megabytes of system RAM, a 340 megabyte hard drive, mid-tower case, keyboard, mouse, DOS, and Windows. DOS 6.2.2 and Windows 3.1. Almost all of the expense in that system was the CPU. Even in 1994, a 46 DX266 was still an expensive CPU, and a big, probably 40% of the price of that build was just the chip.
40%?
The case was the cheapest pile of crap we could find. The keyboard and the mouse were utter junk. The graphics card was whatever the cheapest card. We had a buyer in the shop who every week bought different stuff, and we didn't promise what the video card would be because it was just whatever was cheapest that week, and it would always change. Right. It did come with a 3.5-inch floppy drive. We did not at that point still include a 5.25-inch floppy drive, so it was just a 3.5.
Yeah.
No CD-ROM.
No CD-ROM?
No. The power supply was whatever the cheapest. I mean, everything was bottom up, but it was all because that 46 DX266 people went, I can get that for $999? Because it wasn't that long ago that $2,000 or $3,000 was the cheapest that would buy. And so it got people's attention. That a 4633 with a better balanced build would be a much better deal for $1,000. But people just focused on that one part. Just like the comment with, well, shouldn't you spend all your money on your graphics card? Your CPU doesn't matter. Or people will spend money on their CPU and GPU and ignore their case, their power supply, the RAM, the SSD, their motherboard, and then they end up with a machine that technically looks like it should be fast, but it really is kind of junk and doesn't have any longevity or upgradability because they didn't put enough stuff in it.
Correct.
So today in 2021, a $1,000 build is kind of like that 46 in 1994, where yes, technically you could build it, but
for a little bit more, you could get a much nicer
oh my goodness. And we had a series of upgrades at different price points designed to put some profit, because there was less than 10% profit on that machine. I mean, I think we got like a $30 flat rate commission if somebody bought that machine, because there was like $90 total profit in it for the store. And of course, if the store only sold those machines, they would go out of business. But our goal was to try to get the average price up to $1,500. And actually what's interesting is depending upon how you do it, it doesn't cost, it doesn't take as much as you think. The case that we included in that build was just, it's kind of like going to cases on Newegg, sorting by price lowest to highest, picking mid-tower ATX, and picking the cheapest piece of junk you can possibly find. Yes, you can buy cases to build in today for $20 or $25. They cost that for a reason.
Don't do it.
Putting anything nice in that is just, it's almost a violation of the computer laws. It offends the computer gods. And then you go, well, I'll spend $50. And there are some reasonably decent $50 cases that you could do a budget build in. And if you're doing a $1,000 build, maybe. But if you step up to a $75 or $85 case, it gets better really, really quick. Cable management, airflow, fan mounts. It improves quickly. $200 is just expensive and luxury. You don't have to spend $200 to get a good case, but the $50 cases are filled with compromises. Same thing with motherboards. A $79 motherboard is filled with compromises. A $120 motherboard is better. The audio chip is better. The LAN chip is better. The RAM slots are better. The M.2 slots are better. The USB ports are better. The power delivery is better. Everything about the board is built better for 5% more money. And so if you're building a machine today with an entry-level graphics card like a RX 6600 XT, and where this conversation started was, why not build a $1,000 machine with an RX 6600 XT? Because that's half the price of the machine. Just like the 4060 X266 was half the price of the $1,000 machine. Back then it was all CPU because GPUs didn't exist back then. You had video cards, but they were just frame buffers. So today, if you spend $500 on a 6600 XT, and then $500 on everything else, CPU, motherboard, RAM, SSD case, power supply, all of those components become garbage. They're not upgradable, or if they are, they're not by enough to matter, because even if you could take your i5-10400 and later put an i7 or an i9 on there, the motherboard you built that with doesn't deserve it, and the cooler doesn't support it, and you don't have enough RAM, and you have a cheap DRAM-less SATA SSD, and your power supply won't support it better. So all of a sudden you have a throwaway computer that, if you want to upgrade, you might as well just build another machine because every single part is wrong. If you spend $1,500 instead of $1,000 with the same video card, and I'm sure a lot of people would say, come on, man, a $1,500 machine can have a better graphics card than a 6600 XT. It can. Yes, it can, but then you're back to the same boat if everything else is crap except your graphics card. If you put a 6600 XT into a $1,500 build, you know what you can do? You can go from that $79 motherboard to the $120.
Correct.
You can go from 16 gigs to 32 and have some breathing room and some future.
Get a nicer power supply.
You can go to a 750 watt 80 plus gold power supply instead of a 600 watt 80 plus bronze non-modular. You can go to a fractal design Meshify C case instead of an Aero Cool tin metal $49 thing that you dent by looking at. No joke, I actually had a case from AeroCool that I just bumped into the side of the case with my elbow, and it left a dent in the case because the metal is the thinnest metal you have ever seen in your life. I kind of looked at it and went, there's saving money, and then there's going so cheap that you just don't even get a functional product. That was ridiculous. Anyway, so you can put a better, larger SSD in there. You can put a decent cooler in there that's not going to fall apart the minute you actually try to put a load on the CPU. You can get 8 cores instead of 6. If you then later want to upgrade that graphics card from a 6600 XT to a 6800 XT, maybe if you find a deal on one later, guess what? Right CPU, right motherboard, right RAM, right SSD, right power supply, right case, boom, you can do it.
It's still balanced.
And in the meantime, you have a better machine to use. Because let's be honest, if you have to use the 6600 XT for the next year while you wait for a better deal on a graphics card, 32 gigs versus 16, a 2 terabyte NVMe versus a 512 gig or 1 terabyte SATA DRAMless drive, a 750 watt 80 plus gold versus a 600 watt 80 plus bronze, a $120 nice board with ALC 1220 audio, 2.5 gig LAN, multiple USB ports, multiple M.2 slots, 10-phase digital VRM power delivery, etc., 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 versus the $79 El Cheapo junk board, a 8-core Zen 3 chip versus a 6-core Comet Lake chip, a nice $80 or $90 Meshify C versus the $49 El Cheapo. What a nice computer. Now you have a really nice computer that you can keep for the next 3 or 4 years. And the only thing that needs upgrading is your graphics card. Saving $500 by going from $1,500 to $1,000 to cut all those parts out is the worst $500 you can save. And if you don't have that extra money, then build an APU-based system without the graphics card, make it all very nice, and then wait on the graphics card. And live with the APU for the time being if you have to. Or get some $50 or $75 old you can even get like a 750 Ti or even a GTX 650 or 660 off of eBay, you could probably get some of those for in the maybe $50, $75 range.
You can
That
get
honest,
a 1052 for $300.
no, that's dumb.
Just joking.
But you could, you can get older cards which at least function.
True.
There's no value in those ultra cheap parts. Not in the long run. They're cheaper up front, but then you just end up throwing them away in 3 years. Having to completely replace all your parts sooner rather than later is not how you save money. So, $1,000 machines sound nice, but just like 1994, there's no good $1,000 machine right now. There really isn't. Even the pre-builts you can buy. I mean, a really good example is, I've talked about pre-builts from Newegg all the time. This is an $1,150 machine, and it's a little bit more because it's a pre-built. You could build this for a little bit less if you source the parts yourself. But of course, this comes ready to rock with Windows installed and a mouse, keyboard, and everything. It's kind of nice. i5-10400, RTX 3060, 16 gigs of RAM. This is not bad, but every single thing in this machine is basically non-upgradable. I mean, it is, but only by completely replacing everything. If you wanted to later upgrade this to a decent CPU and a decent graphics card, you'll need a new power supply, a new motherboard, you'll have to add RAM, you'll need a new SSD, because that, I can tell you, I can promise you, that is a DRAM-less Ultra, but that might even be a QLC DRAM-less SATA. Yeah, I'm sorry. The very first thing I do with that is replace that awful SSD. And of course, there's no room in that anyway to install any games. You're going to need more storage anyway. There were no $1,000 machines worth buying in 1994. I sold in 10 months of working at that computer store, maybe 5 of those advertised machines.
Half a dozen.
Well, because we used the cheapest, junkiest case that we could find. We had a case that was so much better. It had a better power supply. It had 2 more expansion bays, another 3.5, and
$20 more.
We charged $29. It didn't actually cost us $29, but
No,
$29 on a $1,000 machine is not the end of the world. But it got you more expansion bays. It got you a better power supply. It got you a turbo button, which the cheaper machine didn't have. And this was still an era where turbo buttons were a thing. And it got you a nicer machine you could live with for longer, and you could put more in it in the future if you wanted to.
Put more storage in.
The keyboard and mouse that we had were really, really, really bad. We had this very nice Kingston keyboard as an upgrade, and you could go from the no-name El Cheapo garbage mouse to the... do you remember the Microsoft mice that used to be curved with your hand?
I do remember those.
For $29, we would upgrade you
$29?
the keyboard, and for $29, we'd upgrade you to the Microsoft mouse. And the Microsoft mice at the time were like $59 in the store. Now, we could get them on the OEM version for cheaper without the retail box. They made deals to companies that sold them.
Yep.
But the point is, for $60, and what I'd say to people is that, because we had both keyboards on display, and they'd go over and they'd try typing on the El Junk keyboard, and then type on the Kingston keyboard. Almost everybody took that upgrade, because as soon as you... and this is the problem with buying everything online, is you don't get to do this.
No, exactly.
In the store, I just could walk them over. Here's the case that it comes with. Here's the upgraded case for $29. 29, 29, and 29. Case, keyboard, and mouse. Those were the easiest upgrades that almost everybody took. And there was a lot of profit in those for us, because obviously it didn't cost us that, because that's how companies and business and stores work. Because once people touch them, here's the cheap mouse, here's the Microsoft mouse. Well, yeah, okay. Well, we come with a 340 megabyte, I keep wanting to say gig, 340 megabyte hard drive. For $29, we can upgrade you to 420. Or for $59, we can upgrade you to 540 megabytes. Now, it's okay if you want to take the entry-level drive, but programs are getting bigger. Windows 95 is coming next year. And it's going to cost you $200 or $300 to add a second drive or replace your drive next year. Plus, we charge $99 for labor. Most people didn't do the installs themselves back then. Certainly people not walking into the store. And so for $59, we'll just upgrade you now. Well, the truth of the matter is the drives were so close to each other on price at that point, they were not that far apart. But this is how you get from $1,000 to $1,500. Fun fact, the Fractal Design Meshify C does not cost 3 times as much to make as the $49 AeroCools. But they charge more because it's quality. And because a big chunk of what you're paying for is not the case. It's shipping, it's handling in the warehouse, it's distribution, it's UPS getting it to your door. And so the extra cost is because really what you're comparing is a $25 and a $50 case that just happened to cost you $50 to get to your house.
Yeah.
A big chunk of these expenses, all the free shipping.
It's not.
Newsflash, shipping's not free.
It's included in the price.
So, in any case, the point of this entire thing is if you're building a machine in 2021 or early 2022, spend more than $1,000 or drop the graphics card. Do you have anything to add to all this?
Nope.
You
said it all.
Did I say it all?
You said it all.
Thanks for watching, folks. URCD Keys is the best source for genuine Windows 10 and Office Professional product keys that work the first time, every time. Get 20% off normal prices using our discount code BST for Byte Size Tech and the link in the video description below. $15 gets you a Windows 10 Professional OEM key that is a real product key, activates directly with Microsoft, use it forever as it links to your Microsoft account and it works through reinstalls. Get a full copy of Office 2019 Professional Plus for about $50 that redeems at setup.office.com using your Microsoft account. It also works forever through reinstalls. We have been using URCD keys for almost 3 years now and recommend you do so as well.